Now, petroleum products are touted as being both a global commodity and a political commodity. Now, increasingly in Africa, governments are under pressure to remove what is referred to as the subsidy, which, of course, they have been adding on to what the cost of petroleum products are that they're bringing into the respective countries. Now, in Sierra Leone, in the past 2 months, there has been 2 announcements increasing the pump price of fuel. Most recently, it was moved from 25 new Leones or 25,000 old Leones to 30,000 old Leones or 30 new Leones. Today on AYV on Sunday, we're asking the increase in fuel versus the livelihood. My name is John Conte and this is AYV on Sunday. Now, good evening and welcome back to AYV on Sunday. Today we'll take an in-depth look at the price increase in petroleum products. We don't affect and the effect we don't get on people and livelihood in the country. You can follow me on DSTV channel 399, Radio 101.7 FM, and on AYV News Facebook page and other social media platforms. Send in your thoughts and comments. We go find time for go through them later on inside the program. Today, inside the studio, I get voices representing CSOs and representing government. I get Edmond Abu, when I'm the executive director for Native Think Tank. Edmond is known for in voice and, of course, in advocacy for consumers. We also get the Alfonso Manley, he between the studio as well. He comes from the coalition on petroleum in the country. He represents plenty other CSO them. And we also get Imran Sila from the Strategic Communications Unit at the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to AYV on Sunday. And I know say this now one particular subject matter very close to a lot of una, but also now one way you cannot shy away from talking about or forget opinion on. You most definitely ever talk about them and get opinion. I'll start with you, Edmond. Good evening and welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Good evening.
Alfonso, welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Good evening, family on Ado.
And I also want to go over to Imran Sila. We come outside the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. Imran, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, let me start with you. In the intro, we say that petroleum touted as both global and political commodity. A lot of governments can use them as, waiting they can want for campaign with during elections that previous government be making too expensive. Oh no, now we go and sure say the price remain the way they, in fact, bring a lower. But it gets other factors from a global perspective where they affect the price of petroleum products. So let me start. Usai this come out and why we reach Usai this right now.
Well, I'll tell you plenty thank you and plenty thank you again for the opportunity. Family on how do. I should say most Sierra Leoneans, if not all, follow Minister of Finance in supplementary budgets, not the well of Parliament. In that supplementary budget, a number of things were put forward, in addition to the fact that government been the go now for seek clearance from Parliament when they get the ultimate responsibility for able for spend, right, based on presidential pronouncements and the big 5 game changers them. But amongst many things that was said on that day at the well of Parliament, one are the fact that we want for subsidies on fuel. We want for subsidies on fuel. And we also state, the Minister of Finance also state on behalf of government that we will gradually ease subsidies on fuel for several reasons. Number one, because governments actually...
Forgive me, it's gradual, meaning this is just maybe the second increase, potentially more increase going for happen?
As we go along in this conversation, one of the things that I think we don't seek for do. And if you talk to Minister Siba, a mantra that you want to give honest, factual, and truthful context to any conversation whatsoever. So as we go along the line, that you question, they naturally go answer himself. I just want for lay the foundation and set the premise right now. So we say we want for ease subsidies. Yeah, we want for remove subsidies. We want for remove subsidies simply because we don't lose out, right, from 2019, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and now 2020. For the first half of this year alone, it's about $38 million. So if you take the first half of this year away from the equation, well, I don't say it's about $38 million, where government don't lose in terms of revenue for subsidized fuel. Take 2022, right? 2021, 2020. We they talk about in excess of $150 million overall, right? Where government don't lose out. Now, the flip side to that in that, government potentially being for don't get $150 million for spend on social projects, right? For the benefit of everybody in this country. It could have been more investment in healthcare. It could have been more investment on free quality education. It could have been more investment on infrastructure, more roads, more bridge for connect the country. It could have been more investment on several other things. But government was limited. And I should say it is not lost on us, and it not going to be lost during this conversation. Right? For the most part, all we do now for go meet the international and multilateral organizations and for ask for money. Also, for complement our efforts. Cap in hand with the go. We can make small budgetary support, this that. And fancy. All of them continue to go meet so. Now the taxes then they take away, right? Their citizens pay those taxes in those countries. Now they take now, they send now developing countries like Africa. Salon, Ghana, Nigeria, and say, okay, we'll turn down to this, we'll go now this. My point is this, in the context of this conversation, we want to be able to free up in the areas that we don't lose out on as a government, yeah? So that we will be able to get the necessary resources without having to look outside for spending.
So after the first, it was, when it moved to 2025 new loans, waiting government save, waiting on investor in.
So this is the point. This is the point.
No. When you move from waiting even day 21,500 to 25 new loans, waiting government say, waiting government investor in.
So the supplement, I'd like to go back again to the supplementary budget to answer your question specifically. There are several things that government wants to do. Yeah, government, right, through the manifesto, based on which they vote and re-elect His Excellency the President again as President for the Republic of Sierra Leone for a second time. Say we want to take we agriculture, budgetary support to agriculture from 6 to 10%. 4 percentage points look small if you talk about percentage. If not percentage you look at. But if you do the equivalent now in cash, financial terms, when you talk about billions and billions of loans for injecting to agriculture. That is one area. The supplementary budget clearly layouts the area.
So back to my question, has that been invested in agriculture?
So that question and the answer. So government layout.
My question can get a simple yes or no.
No, but
has that been invested in?
I wish it was that simple. I mean, if I don't give you a yes or no, right? But government clearly lay out in vision as to who side the necessary investments and supposed for go and how we for raise the money.
So at the moment, government they save the subsidy where they remove on fuel for look at the investment in healthcare and agriculture and all that.
That is why we took a supplementary budget to Parliament for parliamentary approval, for discussions, so that we're able to raise the necessary money, right, for spending in new areas then, based on presidential pronouncement and based on written now priorities as a government. His Excellency the President in broad vision for this second term on agriculture, on consolidating the gains, right, in terms of infrastructure, human capital development, public service, technology, and all the rest of it. There are areas then they clearly need investment, and so government want for able to raise the necessary resources. There's a second part to your question, where I go learn into very quickly before you ask Manley or Edmond Abu other questions there, which is this. Generally during the winter, gas prices, they go up across the globe, yeah? Especially so now OPEC don't cuts, which you could call oil flow, right, into the world market. And during the winter, gas prices, they go up and oil prices, they go up. Price of crude oil and the Platts.
This is summer.
The price of crude oil and the Platts naturally go up.
This is summer.
So my point is this.
This is summer. This is not winter.
Okay, so let's just give you the facts then now. At the moment, petrol don't go up by 15 points. All products don't go up by 15.95%.
So if you have a
petrol particularly don't go up by 26% over 25%.
Begin for bring the fact in. So what's now the cost, the price of a barrel of oil now at the moment? So because if we want to begin for open now and then you get them facts and they check. Then I'll come to Edmond.
No, Edmond. I got to tell you about which the increase will not happen at this current point in time.
No problem, Iman.
It worthy for note and down that it is 15.95% and it is 26.15%.
All right.
Naturally, it has to reflect. So there is a global circumstance also with the lane to this conversation where we're not supposed for. We can't set aside.
No problem, Iman. I'll come back to you. You don't lay enough context and premise already. I have a count to Edmond, but Edmond, before the count, you'll already read a tweet already. We don't come in from Musa and Sumana Soko, where they say decision to increase fuel prices by 20% per liter seems unjustified, considering the global petroleum barrel price at $87.29 US dollars. Is it time to question the influence of petroleum companies on the country's pricing policy? Let me start off, Edmond, from that point there. Why we get so side with this so at the moment? Imam seem for to say that they're justified because government they remove subsidy increasingly. I mean, look at Nigeria. By the time elections don't feel subsidy be removed completely. Then when a country we get oil, where then they produce. So Edmond, how we get to we get to elect today?
Well, for we in a native consortium, this discussion really they add up because already the price don't go up and by 40%. If you check from 21.5 to 25, and of course to 30 leons, about almost 40% increments that don't take place. And at the time when oil price go, at the height of the Ukraine-Russia war, it will go up as high as $140 per barrel. We sell at 15 leons per liter na year. So for we in a native consortium, we don't come realize, say, we talk, all of this talk, the question is, meeting me farm and go to ask, what will change? It will change anything? If you protest, what will change? It will change anything? The thing where we in a native consortium don't embark on now flow begin tell governments on how to heal the malaria because they go after the signs and symptoms. Because now, when we look at the increment, of course, we will not see any justification. But however, government need revenue for a project. So if government, and you go begin ask, why make them tell when they see na Guinea, na Liberia, with neighboring countries? Now, as it stands now, we sell at one of the highest pump price of fuel in the West, now Africa.
What's in the numbers?
I mean, in terms of per liter. Now we get the second highest.
Per liter, what's in the numbers?
We sell 30. Now, if you convert it into dollars, now we get the second highest pump price of fuel in Africa. Now, as it stands. And the thing the way they influence fuel price, now, the global price, like we may be the same, and of course, the exchange rate. So the depreciation of the leons now one big elephant in the room, where they drive fuel price. But when you look at it, not really proportionate to the increment that don't take place quite recently. And for we think, say, governments, they talk about subsidy. And this issue of subsidy discussion, we don't depend from the days of Pakaba, we discuss subsidy, from the days of the former government to now. And governments, where they want money, of course, they go for easy access, easy revenue streams, predictable ones. Yeah. So within native consortium, they tell governments, no, stop going after the predictable, because once you go after them predictable revenue, it hurts the people. Now, in fact, what tell you they sell for 6,000, they sell at 10,000. Bread maybe they sell at 3,000, they sell at 5,000. So you find out they get a compound effect to say everything don't go up because you want for raise revenue. You understand? So for we is killing. Let me tell the other day, I say the fuel increment is as killing as any jagabankush. Waiting at jagabankush now that they mix with diamond bone, men at jagabankush. So it killing. We think say government needs for rethink and try for recalibrate the way how they raise revenue. Because if we can't continue like this, and I make like a way they continue for boldly tell the government say this way for they go after predictable revenue. It's not good because even the electricity, if there's a proposed increment of 100%, native consortium we are against that. We think say a killing, and in fact, within the add now they make now the illegal connection for the. So waiting at the facts, waiting at the figures. As it stands now, like what they say, if oil price at 85, they tangle around 85 to $75 per barrel. the thing where PRA puts out there that, fuel price will increase. No, the issue of about refined costs and refined products, I don't think, when you look at the figures, it not really add up. So, what I think is our biggest problem as a
Edmond, okay, so what think people can go on for really do, and you understand and get from you, but you said the figures, they not add up, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there is a formula for you to look at bringing in a petroleum product into the country, how you arrive at the price, and how government they determine, say, okay, this amount of subsidy might be known they put in the past few years, and we're removing the subsidy there. So based on this projection we make and the expected revenue, all things say if we remove the subsidy, we can able to put it somewhere else and look at that and invest them in other social
and
projects.
This is what I've always fight with the IMF. I don't talk on Washington World Bank. I don't team up now the highest pinnacle now Washington, IMF, World Bank, spring meetings now Washington. Tell them, say, you they subsidize for your citizens there. American government, all other Western government, they subsidize. Why they can't tell Africa, say, not subsidize. This subsidy, they affect the one way they benefits now. People like JK them, people like Imram Silade, where they get the big mutkade, now they benefit the high ends. You know, that's complete poppycock. They say, the high end. And we look at them now, the increment when they take place, they affect the poor than the rich, than the middle class. So then one thing and the first one, for me, the IMF narrative is complete, is preposterous, and I always there against that. And if you say they subsidize, what are they subsidized for? Now for
are these not conditions you get from IMF? Like
that's the bigger picture. Right? And when you talk, say, the other government did the tax, you know why? Yes, of course, what they call it, but they own economy more diversified. They get other streams of revenue. So we own economy, which would they say that and the malaria medicine, diversify your economy, not go after lifeline products the way they affect the poor more. Now, Dan and we don't argue for the past 20 years.
And Edmond, look at the theory subsidy or the price be increased 2 weeks towards the opening of school. Imagine the multiplier effects.
And now you get people that they're very, you get traders that they're very, very contagious. They increase price. They can just grab, sleep, wake. They say na fear. They say na how dollar connects Bangbala Ugri. When have local product. So if you government, if you're not careful, you find out say, and that no happen at the market. Every other commodity they go up at the market. So you government get to be careful them products there. And every this subsidy you are hearing the other they talk about they subsidize start from the supplementary budget. You they subsidize this subsidy are not a monkey there. Now the poor people there. Now the popular. So the issue of subsidy discussion on when they put on the supplementary budget say, they subsidize, for me is untenable because the subsidy is subsidized for cushioning the burden, the economic burden. Of course, not only this platform. There is economic trouble all over you. You listen the radio, you listen the television, all man get your yagba. All countries, including America, the economic crunch the bites. You understand? But they always find ways for cushioning their own. So the question will go for the ask, why will they get this question? Now, Liberia, Guinea, because one of the things the way they get storage facility. Liberia, Guinea, for instance, the storage facility is centralized. So no oil company, no only own. Yeah, we all storage facility, the entire, from the research we do along with IMF in 2016, 2017, we not get up to, we talk about barrel oil, diesel, petrol, kerosene, jet, A1 kerosene plane that they use, we not even get up to 500,000 metric ton.
All right, okay, Edmond.
You find out, say, all NTR, so they add up to the public cost, now them, and the oil companies, they make big money.
Obviously, I mean, company. Nobody knows set up in company not for make money.
Nobody they exploit. You
set up your company for make profit. If not, you close them. Alfonso, over to you. Timely that we get the fuel subsidy be removed and the price increase now that it don't move from 25 to 30.
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, the part tell you and they represent the consortium on petroleum industrial relations. And waiting the consortium they do since 2018 and for provide public education on the downstream sector, petroleum sector. Of course, we all know that sector they be regulated by PRA. Of course, how then they regulate and clearly stipulate inside the PRA Act of 2014, clearly talk with PRA and functions. But our people don't understand. We don't know about the two factors the way they drive. The prices of fuel. We can't talk about the pricing formula, the international factor and the local factor. But what I want to bring it to play for let people to understand, we're going to do they call the OMCs. when our oil marketing company. The oil marketing company in Sierra Leone, we get national petroleum they call NP, 100% na Salomon gets out. You get the other one they call Leone oil, what we call Leone, 100% na Salomon. You get the other one they call Malado Associates, 100% na Salomon. You get Connex, what goes na international investment. Now, governments not they bring in fair car. Then people don't talk so when they invest in the section and they go buy. They refine products. Not so product they buy, now refine products and they buy. Then count them, including shipments, and then go through the pricing formula. We all know that the Malado associates and Malado. This fellow they say na taxi Leone so. Na Malado the seller. What in government they do? Now for regulate time, for them Malado no go sell 40 loans, 50 loans at a time where it go get over profits. NP, they do the same. In fact, where government says one fail, government says they buy fail at this 30,000 loans. Now let's go back. The Minister of Finance clearly laid the basis. And that one they come up from we on previous budget hearing, interacting with IMF, World Bank, and other players them. Because clearly they see our government they constrain for even support proper programs. As they talk to you so now, today, school they can open, government is set to pay the third term fee subsidy. Based on the mix where government gets with SL2 and other education stakeholders, government say they will pay on the second week of September. So tell me, the government left for pay the picking and fees, and that subsidy then they pay, then teachers will not get pin code and then they survive ban. The auxiliary staff they already in our school, like secretary, gatesman, watchman,
so wasn't that
now I want to provide this public education, let the people understand,
wasn't
then they go appreciate.
Budget's not been there for that day already, wasn't there an allocated
so at the
budget
time for test, outside government forgets in much needed revenue. The Edmond they talk for the predictable sector. For instance, if you look at the pricing formula, where you look now, all them road then they dig. You go to they call road user charges. They don't take 4 year government they collect them. You go to they call infrastructure development fund. It don't pass 4 year government on collect. Okay, so this much needed revenue.
So back to the
wait for support for the government pay fee subsidy on time. Wait for ensure say government employ more nurses. Wait for ensure say government put into security. Now that person they will get that Range Rover. So back now to government is subsidized. Against all they take for that.
So back to the back to the question. Say third term subsidy hasn't been paid for.
Yes.
That done enough for 2023.
Yes. 2022, 2023.
So wasn't that budgeted for in the previous? Wouldn't you say that in a poor planning for able for?
No, it's not. So I tell you the reality. So when government they pay them money now based on the revenue where government they collect.
So the subsidy removed. So the subsidy removed now from So the subsidy removed now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you get the time for answer. But the subsidy removed now. Now they go to they be allocated to that for able forget the revenue then they raise to pay the subsidy.
Exactly. So you go see now say Ministry of Finance don't give definite dates to the education sector for say this engagement. We are sure to pay fee subsidy, but if governments they needed money, then they continue for subsidize. We they believe say the proper sector or the service sector, social service sector, go much more constrained. So that they mean say for the past 3 months, 4 months, the one they were in a school, when I watchman them, when I secretary them, teacher they will not get pin code, they will not get salary. So we are saying, right? Let we sell the fuel at market value. We will not ever do it. Up to now, what they tell you so, we not still sell at market value. When me say, look at this price, the formula, government still they subsidize, now remove all the subsidies. So, if you want to call Kobe Wakame, they name things by the right names, or you call Malado Associates. Let me tell you the money where they spend for go bring fuel, can I also importation and pay all in tax them, and can for tell you for selling below 30,000. We there now the consortium before ever the price they go up because now the good thing is Pierre get the plats. Before now total go tell Pierre say the world market price now this. We'll say plats and the price for refined product, the international price. And when you get down there, you get for transport, you get for pay shipment, you get for pay port tax. Several things them. You don't think of the station where the man they run, the OMC, the station, the worker there where they work there, the investment there where the man puts. And Solomon go so wicked with the suffer for fear, the castle and go no. Now make I say the OMCs them 90% na Solomon, the Malado Associates, the NP, the Leone Oil, all of these. So the Minister of Finance not just take you like when Nigeria do am. Immediately, Tinubu was sworn in. He removed fuel subsidy 100%. Rather than Sierra Leone, because of the engagement they get. The minister informed we and say on gradual basis. This is why you see a move from 21 to 25, from 25 to... So now gradually...
So I ask him on the question, in answer, I say as we go on, you get for a response
so
to that.
So the public education me they provide so now waiting me know,
yes.
So now they tell you so
okay,
now.
So I'm coming to you back. Gradual means
small with the program until we pull all commodities.
So how much percent don't come on, how much percent?
So that will be determined by the Ministry of Finance. And I tell you, say this sector, now volatile sector. So tell me how you see don't so. The international price they play, and now where they take the average price, like of course, me board and now no sell again. The average price now the world right now for fuel products. Now just a second, don't forget the right one. Now $1.35 US. When you check that one in our report on 31 leones. Now, Lord, just look what happened inside August. It's fine for the people they know this way they provide public education. Now, for petrol, in July, now be 817.30 per metric ton. August, it go to 947.7, 15% in 2 weeks. It's unprecedented. And not may they happen so. Owing to the fact, may not plan for being the Russia, Ukraine, Edmond say not necessary. But I make a practical example. Ask Malado, this fuel where they bring, say Malado, if you sell at 28,000, if you go pull the money, as I talk, so NP record a loss for about 57 billion for the past 3 months. What are they getting that money there? Now, government, and government continue for provide foreign exchange to them people there. But look how the dollar, they beat the Leones.
Edmond,
so before they go back, exploit and not see it.
Before I go back to Iman, Edmond, I know you get a lot of counter arguments to that. So let me hear your views on the things the way Alfonso
you see, so far. This thing not get counter. We are not debating because you need to change anything. Do you understand? What do people get to understand that the fact this thing they buy it, and the way they bet so if we are not careful, kono go iti mama. You know, go say because. I can understand the government, you understand? And this argument what they do, a lot of people understand, say, fuel price, not to pepper and of court. Now in Guinea they use, now in Ghana they use, now the same side all they go buy. So no make you like for say, oh, it don't go to this. Then you go begin ask, why Liberia don't is there up? Why Guinea? And this is the thing the way President Mioga for Sidon they think. Why Ghana not is their own? Why in fact Miona the highest town in Africa? You understand? You go for ask President Bioga for asking himself. We are not debating. This thing, the way they go so, what do you mean they say President Bioga for make sure say diversify the economy. Let get more revenue. Now that's true. For instance, I already say this. All of these things me uncle Nasanama Bolonto, they understand. What do you understand? Fear long go up. Our government go make a if now they put fear on people them. People get the fear of how the thing they for.
No, but Edmond, you uncle Nasanama Bolonto go understand. Because if fuel long go up, that means the cost per Okada movement from pole to pole give a change.
Now they say what do you
understand that in a different way?
Now they say the first thing I affect me on cool na Salama Bolonto. Now how fuel in bike price the keke Okada and that fuel that Alfonso in Piquet get for give 5,000 for go school. Now he get 5,000 for Lego again because you no go do. You understand? He get for pay more. So now you want for support a project. If you want to support a project, the thing where you for do, diversify your economy, and this is the malaria medicine we tell government continuously, you understand? Diversify economy, look at other wisdom. But if you continue for go after predictable revenue streams, for us, you know, go after, for instance, the marine sector with
in the past, you used for the ask for make the price, make government review the price, they cannot. It seemed like you posture change a little bit. Now you're saying that this is not a debate, nothing about change, but we just tell government now for diversify the economy.
You know why I say so? The last time now on all Sidom, they take Edmond put on a Panema road for telecommunication. Anything change, it can't do. Now, Paneba would why he say, oh, the thing don't go up. In fact, we are not careful. That is go for go up. You understand? In fact, after the outcome of Paneba, I protest back na Keneba. Anything change? Nothing. Sometimes some people, if you just take 10 cents, no one.
So are you saying that this is the new Edmond Abu?
It's not the new Edmond Abu.
I just don't commit myself to faith where exists that no matter what happens, things
because,
things never change. Me,
you discuss this discussion now. Tell me if you get for Kandong. When in fact people, if you get it fair, say it go up. What you get for change? Folks, you don't answer. You don't talk.
I mean, for answer the question, but
the thing is, when they talk, and they tell you, say, in Africa, this is the problem. You always let for go after the signs and symptoms of the malaria. Go after the malaria, you solve them. You understand? We are against any price increment, and we don't talk and say the reason given. I can understand somewhat. The reason given, our fuel go up by 15%. Look, take that figure where Imrangi. Let's say depreciation not happen, let's say by 3% or 4%, or let's say 5%, they increase them by 40%. Because if you take it from 21.5 to 30 news, now almost 40% increment down there, and it's very, very killing. So this is not about what they say, Edmond say, or Edmond. If we come on out today, Edmond say, okay, the next day I go protest. You're not going to change anything. That's the sad reality. So waiting we engagement, we don't recalibrate to strategy now. With the show government now, waiting you for let you not continue with this trend, because this is not a good trend. It's not good for people, and we think say there is a better way of doing it. You understand? We not to that kind of activists have been in this space for quite too long. I found the now we don't train the wire. We do the camp for begin make government look bad. No, it bet me. It bet everybody, including the president, beyond family and a team. So it's a serious thing. It has a composite effect. So what they discuss are not be very, very, very objective. Not to overcome Edmond, you don't. No, I know they do activity for fame or fortune or for that. I know it for trend. As a matter of fact, some of them even take the back seat now. Lord left Alphonse and let them continue. You understand? So this issue is serious. And do you mean a great president bill? Let me know add again. If you continue for add, people will not go for afford, and at the end of the day, the temple will not go for Boku back. So man go for the prefer.
Alfonso, you don't get one bite.
Clarify something, Edmond.
All right, before we take Iman, you get just a minute for do that.
Yes. You know what me bother for realize nobody know the glad the way price go. You know why make we form this consortium? Anytime we government be ready for adjust, because we they call it adjust, we know they say increase, because you are not buying at market value, so now adjust. Anytime we government ready for adjust the price, especially upwards, we institution come together, PRA, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Finance, and the OMC. People don't know they glady. But the fact remains, the OMC that money one, then they go buy them products. Just like when the telecom, the SSF, no, they for one at a loss. 10K will talk, say they increase. And it's the reality, you understand? Because you have so many sites, 24-hour generator for telecommunication business, is expensive.
Alfonso, Alfonso, you own a business. You get business they really run right
of
now.
Course.
You get generator they really.
Of course.
What you feel cost don't be in the past few days?
No, me fortunate.
You know they buy fuel.
No, listen. Me fortunate for the side. Me fortunate for the side. You know, anytime they satisfy you, they get lights. Now once in a while, and use generator. And that light so they pay for it. So I
you know the for that. For my question.
But wait till me they try for talk. You know go go buy fuel, you can't say that a loss. So this talk Edmond they talk it's some na comedy they make pan the old show.
Who's comedy?
Let the man when they buy the fuel.
It's not adjust. Waiting adjust.
Not adjust because you ever buy fuel market value, market price. Government they subsidize. Look the price in formula. You don't look the price in formula. Look at how thick. The government they subsidize
this formula is.
So are you buying it? What do you mean by moribund?
Okay.
Always Edmond they provide information to the public when not correct and petroleum sector. Now that's make we form this consultant for provide public education. But you know so we can talk say, hey, I'm not glad the fuel go up, the public they glad it. When we talk say when the fuel go up, I provide the public go glad it. So like that. So we they provide the facts.
So Alfonso, what you need for if you're throwing a jab at Edmond that they come and provide. I mean, the information they were not correct. You get for allowing for making a response. Unfortunately, Imran for don't come in, but at the moment, because you don't throw a jab down at Edmond,
another problem. Let me small, another problem. Let Imran
Okay, gentlemen. Let's say this for now.
Another problem.
It's okay. Let's say this for now, Imran. A lot don't be said. I asked Alfonso the question about whether it's timely or not. You go around long route and still not answer the question whether it's timely or not. He put them back to subsidy to schools will not be paid. We make third term, subsidy not be paid. We had a lot of workmen and they were not able to go with go home with the salary for third term, a few months in third term. It's going back to you now, the removal. For now, is it timely? You want to get government being supposed for Duam, be need for Duam, being get for Duam at all costs right now? If not, it for be something difficult for government for handle?
So a few things I would say before I can answer your question directly. I'll just piggyback on some of them comments there and time into your question. Alfonso talk about third-term subsidies not being paid yet. Also, every budget, every year, whether supplementary or actual budget being read for the following year, all are based on projections, projected revenue, waiting at the sources of revenue, waiting will be the sum total of revenue for the first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter, and fourth quarter. Outside that revenue, did the tap, waiting at the other sources of income, right, for able to spend on government in priorities them or waiting government don't set out for do for the following year, right, as part of waiting and get for do in the medium to long term. So it is based on those calculations. Now that make when Phantom Madi, Minister of Finance, been doing that well, he say certain variables don't change, right? So there was a reason to come back to Parliament for a supplementary budget, and let Parliament can discuss them and give them permission for the government able to spend, right, on within the new priorities they look like, and some of them things that we president we don't make pronouncement on, Big Five and several other things them, right? So I hope that not going to be lost in the argument. But I also say this, whether it is the right time. Every decision we meet President, His Excellency, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, don't take. At every given moment, there has always been careful consideration, deep thoughts, deep thinking, several analyses, right? And he does not do it alone. He always do them with the experts that are involved based on the issues that will come up from term to term, for able to arrive at them decisions then they. I do not know anything about timing. I know what it means when we talk about the practicalities of situations. Yeah? So if these moments, based on within the government in priorities, based on the circumstances globally, government they take their measures there, it is in the medium to long term in the best interest of the people of this country. Now I know some people are going to watch this program with the one and now, well, how can it be in the best interest of the people of this country? Because obviously, in a democracy, people get varied views. People are entitled to their views, then the Edmond express in your sufficiently, and I should say good do so for the rest of this program. But my point is this. Would we rather we go continue for the big overseas, for support programs in this country, or would we rather be able to raise them money than they locally?
So Imran,
and able to do the things that we government need to do.
Throw them question, and they obviously prompt me for ask you and probe further and ask you. So we're very close to that point where we not go on for we not get for go cap in hand asking anybody again for any support to any of the programs that we get as a country, as a government.
My point is this. Right, for the things you can raise funds on, right, and raise necessary revenue, right. I don't think government should be looking elsewhere.
But there are many things where government they fund, where government need to look elsewhere.
And therefore, government need for continue for do that and even more. That is precisely my point. Government need for able for do that even more. So at the moment, government still seek partnership with multilateral and bilateral partners there. We try for see how we could get grants them instead of loans. Because loans are obviously you get for pay out with interest and blah blah and all that then kind of bad thing and they. Right? And they look at various models, right? Public-private partnership. So for example, if you talk about the Freetown International Airport, the new one, government today they say they don't go trust money so in China, right? This government able to attract the right investment at no cost to the citizens and at no cost in not going to ever be in the future, simply because It was a project that was bankable. Private business come, he watch them, he see them. He said, I can put my money into it. So there are various ways for able to raise revenue for do the things, then development things the government intend for do. But primarily, amongst many, if government supposed to be able to raise the necessary revenue. Now, I know, look, it's not pretty. Taking decisions for on behalf of 7 million people in this country is not pretty at all. Even the best decisions get criticized. Never mind the one the way people get so much views and feel so much about. That is understandable. I hope you understand. But one of the things that we make we exist and forever continue to exist, and appear ring will forever continue to exist in any government. Now for able to get them conversations, then they honest, truthful, and factual with the people of this country. And I will give an analogy. If me, Imran Silla, go to hospital, staphylai John Conte, then go diagnose me with something that is reversible, but tough. Hospitals get what you call psychosocial support. Now, so they sit you down and tell you those hard facts. That this is what it looks like. These are the realities. Get an honest, candid, and frank conversations with you, right? It may seem difficult at that material point in time when they tell you, but they are taking it, then they take you through.
So, Iman, in this case, waiting honest, that, hold on, waiting honest in this case, that fuel will continue for increase. Therefore, therefore, citizens for brace then belt themselves for this increase, and for no say them pockets then get for struggle as a result of obviously because of the effect we get. So, it will get forget on other commodities.
So now that you asked the question, just because there was something I left out, will be asked specifically, right, in terms of them pricing in them, right? I'll just say something very quickly and tie into your question. Petrol price increased due to the continuing driving season in the northern hemisphere. Diesel price increased at a higher rate than petrol due to tighter supplies. International oil prices rose each consecutive week in August, hovering near 3 months highs than this week at a shade over 26% for diesel. The increase for petrol and diesel is around $136.75 and $185.14, higher than the July averages. Yeah? So that is the global context. Now to your question. Is there going to be another review at some point? Yes.
So that's the honest. So that's you.
There is going to be another review.
Several times now. You don't say. I mean, this now. From what the minister say, when I look at honest and truthful communication to people and information to people. So the honest truth is that yes, there's going to be another review. Yes, there's going to be another increase in the price of fuel.
Now you are add on the day. My point is
but that was what you said. I'm not Adande.
No, you don't Adande.
There are others in the studio.
No, you don't Adande.
There are viewers and listeners.
Respectfully, now you don't Adande.
Adande, you say.
So now you make
I'm just rephrasing what you say.
No, I don't, because otherwise you lost.
So say what you say. You ask. Maybe you say under your voice.
Which you don't lost now at the yeah, which I say.
No, wait.
So now rephrase.
So say I'm back. So waiting honest.
Back again.
So waiting honest. That people continue for increase.
There is going to be another review. There will be. Look, first of all, for the past 4 or 5 years and for the past 10 years, as far as my memory go, right? There's always a review when it comes to fuel.
So review upwards or downwards?
It been happening every within 2 weeks. No, so yeah, it been happening every fortnight. Down there, not change.
So a review upwards or downwards?
Basically, which are simply the says, that review done they happen for the past 5-10 years where oil importers there.
Is it going to be a review upwards or downwards?
And Ministry of Finance done the Sudan for Sudan and get them conversations, then that will continue to happen. Now, what I don't know is that waiting and conversations and they will look like at the next review. It is not. I mean, not an economist.
So is it?
I'm not in that sector. But I know for a fact.
So basically, what's in the Minister of Finance saying that gradually subsidy therefore be removed. If there's going to be a review, connecting dots, connecting points, basic logic, connecting dots, connecting points. So if there's going to be gradually, it will be removed. If there's going to be another review, potentially it might be upward.
Look, if we go by what the minister saying at the well of Parliament about easing subsidies, yeah, in addition to within at the global context, then conversations, then 2 points, then they will be part of the next conversation right? Where then they get discussions in terms of what the plats look like, what are the international circumstances, what are the global factors. Then they go inform then decisions and then they take, right? But if further subsidies get for be eased, right, then go get them conversations then they. The Minister of Finance, now your specifics down there, go get them conversations then they. I am saying, and I have to be honest and factual to the people of this country. Now down the president, you want me for do what? Any given opportunity to sit on any one panel platform there at the top. Honest, factual, candid conversations. I would rather continue to engage along their lines than they. As difficult as those decisions are,
so the honest, candid, right? Factual truth in the information that's going to be another review, and gradually subsidy will be removed.
If you get,
and gradually the price will continue for increase.
I gave the analogy initial just now. No, so if you get them conversations then they with Sierra Leoneans, right, so that they understand where government and this country is situated on every single issue, including on fuel. The people of this country, I have no doubt, right? I mean, as difficult as those implications might be, right? The people of this country clearly go understand the position of government and why government they take their decisions and they at every material point in time.
So they're not able to move them picking them from one point.
In addition to that,
for go school because the cost.
In addition to that, I just want to say something in 30 seconds.
I'll come back to you in 30 seconds. You'll get enough time. Now you mentioned the people of Sierra Leone for able to understand, for able to see and reason with what in government to do. We take the camera out on the streets of Freetown and Kenema for within the people themselves they say about the increase in the pump price of fuel.
Fuel go on 30,000 right now. Really, they tell well for we, the riders, them, even the passengers, them, the masses really suffer because the fuel, it's somehow very, very much expensive for we. The government really need for consider the citizens, consider with the people, them, with the masses. We will suffer really. They really need for subsidize for this fuel. Let them try talk to the fuel owners, let them calm down, let the price go down, let it be as normal. So as really the people them able to afford for pay transport for go to them various working places them because if person they pay high transport, then at the end the salary they receive not they able afford in money then way they waiting in commodities the way you need for buy other things they don't able get them at all. They say well, you see. Transport they pay their pass waiting they receive at the end of the month.
This fuel issue, they don't cause problem to it because they will sell now so they get better sell. They will pay 7,000 for go. Now they say 15,000 for go for go gas. It will take because when fuel don't go 30,000. The money now pilot for go because I don't get money. I don't get money for pay transport for go. If I pay transport now, what are they go buy? And when you go to market, you go to market for go buy. Here on there, the one where they come up plan they come. When they come, they say out in there. If you would buy something 7,000 or 10,000, now they don't put up 15,000, 20,000. The 10,000 don't go 20,000. The 20,000 don't go 40,000. So do you would they beg? Let this year let go down. For we want more we not tell how they suffer.
School get for open. Some people that can come out then normally they come middle towns and private school that can come, so they can come out far. So right now, what school get for open, the transport business they get for money because traffic get for day. Some people then if they not take bike, they get for late for can school. You understand? So and then the lockout law back say now we not for overload, we not for go middle town. Then it may even take a day. Then say if you don't go up back, you don't start for buy 30,000 for the time. So they will overload. Some picking and they will tell them two picking them, when they can't left them. Now we not even get for take overload again because when you overload now, picking them they get for hold you back. Then fear don't come up back. So now we not get issue that side. You understand? Because even if we say we not agree for that, no other thing not there for do. Pass to buy no more. Get for affect everybody. You're not going to run away from transport. You go put they get for charge. You go they get for charge. You can't do with the buy more. Get for hit you. Go back for no serious reason because you know if you take a month where they ace up the thing to 25,000. If we say we for long go till December, if the price get for go up, if you go. But by this side don't go 30,000. Maybe from not till to December, get for go up back. It get what affect you. You understand? The government know. We will not need for tell government what the government for do because you know what it for do. We will not get nothing for tell government. Government know what it for do. You know what it the money away. SSM know. Pass will tell ourselves what if for the night get for do. They don't care about you. Now whether they get money, now anything all they want for do, then they do. Some of what do they inside 3 years. Then they get inside 1 second. Some of them whether they want on the office the way they see them so.
Then fuel not go up 210. Fuel been there 21.5. Then they add 25. They add 3.5. Then you know even take 1 week they add another 5,000. Uber cannot easy. Like that machine is all they run. Now people they give it for run them. Okay, now if you want 10 liters at 300,000. How long you go able to get that person master money? You do that. Yes, we not say the fuel business na global issue. But before ever the global issue they can now, it don't mean now we don't increase. You know for be so. So Papa government not see that the way they say we go for tell them, let do this. He say self know what he for do for we. You know what's good for the country. In campaign for that. You understand? But just as he cancel no more, we don't vote, it don't even take 2 months. All things just go up no more gradually. So we don't understand now we go ahead to. In field there, Uber could help and transport. But now this machine they want fuel on there, then people then they back in the streets back when they money we. Police then they, he pass away they meet Odin, he pass away they meet this. For the day before, okay, me from when this no clean so now, 10 to now, I don't spend up to 70,000 per police. Where you go so he hold you? Where you go so he hold you? Where he shakes so he say now government say this, now government say this. So all the bad now don't stay now, they pan the government. So if you mean a government, if the government they read this me voice, that bad never try close up by himself. It's very necessary. Me, if me they do something for me, it's good. Other person they try for discriminate that me host, I don't agree. If you not attendance and they pull you come on.
The increase of fear they really affect you greatly. Like now, them by the way, so if somebody they use their black silencer, they put 1 liter in a 30 mil, they will put the money set. And 2, they see the passengers and they get a fixed price within at the mind for station. Like for instance, if they come out fishery, when they go ROTI, they don't send a 7 million. Now we don't go there. If you this year, but I say somebody say 10, you know the pay. So the one with the bike say the fear all they go in the passenger. And some of you don't call at different countries, the way they in a band, like Guinea, Liberia, the fear business, it is living as salary. And right now, boss man, then we the right side of the man, they say they pay me 70 euros. They go buy fear when I 4 liter. Then pay another 70 euros. Sometimes you won't pay for the rest of the day, now 30 or 40 that they go now. They really affect you. The passenger is able to get like right now, until I put 2 liter, I don't pass stay, which are right now 50,000, we have to tell 60 grand. Now they can buy another 1 liter for ride. So they really affect you negative, they're not going to know good effect on it as a rider. Yeah?
They affect me greatly because some will pay 50, no, not to 50, that's nearly 100, you see. So it really affects you. If you don't get more money, you say that this number, you're not able to buy all things now. It don't really affect you. Yeah? The government try, but then reduce the fare price. Really. If you don't do that, you will gladly.
So right now, all the fare don't go up, so they are affecting our business all the things. Because right now, you go buy drinks, 195, so you can pass it at 12,000. So right now, business will go fast today. You can for the rest of the day, you sell 200 cents. Yes, so right now, the money away. What they say, they are affecting the business. Even the drivers, they are affecting. Because right now, transport don't go 130. So the money will is fine. So what the government help you? Let the fare go down. Let it go down. So that we will get to you.
Of people on the streets where they talk about, come on thread, run through that. I mean, there's no way you don't get fuel pump price increase and then it don't affect people. Obviously, it get corresponding, it get fumble and put on that already. They get fumble and once fuel increase, the one where they ride Okada and transportation price get for increased movement from one point to the other. The one where they sell in the market because the cost they go on the transportation of the goods to the market, then they go sell, then get for transfer to the end user where they go buy them product. Or then Pepe and Yaba so then go to the market, for instance. Imran, I've been asked the question just now. we still don't answer it about whether this is timely or not. To ask the question, you go back to whether we will still continue to go to multilateral or bilateral partners and ask them for funds for we program. And
I think it's sufficiently enough answer the question. But then the viewers, they ultimately go judge, right? And run to their own conclusion based on what I say. My point is this, and I will repeat myself again. Every decision government they take is never pretty, right? You always get then thoughts and conversations as to whether it is the right time or not the right time, or whether it could have happened earlier or much later. That's the life and the nature of government in the democracy, right? And with where people people get their own views and thought process and, supposed to be able to express that. But ultimately, like I say, specifically to that question, whatever decision His Excellency the President will take at any material point in time, it will come after thorough conversations, which we will call the sector specialists looking all of the facts that were available for able to run to them conclusions then did. Ultimately, every single decision, even if it not seems so, even if certain sections of the public not feel so, I want to assure the people of this country through this medium say it is in the interest of the people of this country, even if you not feel so from time to time. Now to some of them comments that way don't come. Let's just say this. It reminded me of an outreach where I do, na Kabbalah and Falaba, on this same field. So I did about 4 attire bases. I do about 5 ghettos and do about 6 joints them. Cookery shop and then kind of a place in it. I sat down and before I've been to go, I've been getting this preconceived notion that it was Kabbalah, it was Falaba. People don't know what's up. Right? They don't follow the news, they don't understand anything outside Salon, right? Let alone outside Kabbalah and Falaba. I sat down in over 15 of the joint locations and I don't mention. And I just get some organic conversations with them on field. That in the field, they go to around 20-something, 21 or 22. I was amazed and surprised after them conversations during them conversations as to how in tune they were with what they happen globally and how it affects we in this country. So, to the point more broadly, now I can say it is always good for engage. That is what we as a government they do. With all of the one in the room, I don't get so. I bet you say if I go sit down and get a conversation with them, honest candidate, away from the camera, sit down and just explain, talk to me belle word, which I know about the government, which I know so they happen, within the lead to them thing and they. If we are going to interview the same people there again, the reaction would be slightly different, right? Because it is about information, it's about power, it's about getting them to understand, even if they do not necessarily agree, but let them understand exactly.
So until you get the
I just want to make a few more points in line with Andy. Schools are opening tomorrow. We know say for the longest time we get school buses in control by local councils across the country. I hope say local councils could do the needful and make sure say them buses they are ready for them picking away to go school tomorrow, because it's for those reasons, right? Make them buses then they then provide them for subsidized parents and families and picking away to go school to and fro, right, from one place to the other. Number one. Number two, I was fortunate last week for in the room with the Minister of Finance, where this conversation been gone. Siba, the minister, tell me say, "Oh, Imran, I get something else for do." Rush into that place and just go be part of the conversation. And I went there.
Imran, let imagine say
it's important.
But you will come to that.
That's the next one.
Imagine say the school buses are okay. They're fine. How much school picking and the bus then go serve? Let's be realistic.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a context where there are challenges, in a context where all is not on normal temperature and pressure, as I can like for say. There's an advert where I don't see from time to time, we always don't stick in my mind. Every little helps. Every little helps. If you do a sum total of the number of picking the way the school bus the benefits, right? Let's say on a time-by-time basis and do an aggregate. Even if it's benefiting 50,000 or 20,000 or 30,000, John, I know a lot of just discard down there and say, well, that's not important. it is still something for them.
But I'm not discarding that. I ask you almost
precisely to your point.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is still something for them picking a day where they get access to their school bus, then where they move from one point to the other at a cost recovery basis, and they are being subsidized by the local councils then because government find that necessary for make sure the school buses then they are number one. Number two, and we'll say the Ministry of Finance, right, on the instructions of His Excellency the President, they can think through a lot of poor policies we then go roll out very soon for cushioning the impact and effect of some of the challenges that they face. And I say so, right, and I want to give this as a backdrop. NACSA, with the social safety net, don't benefit over 40,000 families across the country. Munafa don't benefit about 12,000 people across the country. Now, John, I can always let forget the flip side to some of their conversations there. Add 40,000 families. Add 12,000 families. Add, let's just say, for example, just for this conversation, let's just say, now 20,000 school picking there across the country, they benefit from their school buses there. Add them to Randy. Imagine if none of them platforms then they not been there and not they exist. It could have been worse. It could have been worse.
But the fuel subsidy removal and the increase in price has far greater reaching effect than this 82,000 you mentioned.
It could have been worse. Does not mean we're not supposed to forget real and frank conversations around this fuel and the fuel
you've had the mic for too long. Let me get Edmond.
You see, I want to tell President Bio this. Fuel price, the increments. President Bio, you see them kush. This is bad past that kush. That Jagaban kush. I like what Imran they say. I think we need to scale up this discussion a bit. Keep talking about the revenue. You see, this formula where I'm supposed to the social, we don't begin. Me now one of the authors of this formula. Let's say this was humility. So pricing formula on fuel, I'm not a stranger. I don't do this thing at Washington, IMF, na Canada. I just come on attack already in Ghana for work for an oil company.
You're not practical.
No, I'm not say practical. No, for telling you say this is not strange to me.
And Alfonso, you get
now the issue is this. The issue is this. Now you don't listen to what people they say. It's very hard. I don't know what you go profit any government or President Bio for like you increase the increase fuel price, the horse. 8 million people 95% just for please 5%. It's good for please then 5% in there. What in native construction they say? We they try for say, President Bio, look at other sectors. For instance, the marine sector, we're supposed to forget $200 million according to Greenpeace. We they get poaching thief man, then the Chinese vessel that they come for Ghana with water and the thief. The same Chinese man they come, they make chen, they make Father Christmas. But they can't go on a vessel, they can't go on a gun boat for police, and then gun boats are not enough. So what the President Bio for they do? Look at the other sectors. Me and farmer when they talk to you so. I can't walk into the bank now, JK. You have to diversify the economy. I say I don't plant now. You understand? If I want loan now, go to the bank for tell me say Edmond will give 28%. That's killing. I can't afford it because the environment only scale now. The loan facility, the interest rate, any the benefit like I want to recommend them. You understand? So I
Edmond, talking about because you said the bank will give 28%.
Interest rate.
The interest rates than they.
Yeah, if more than that, yes. That are the bank. That we talk about I for diversify for a small scale farmer.
Yes.
Now the economy just about a log at this, just about like motorman. This common motorman. Now if I do consultancy small. If I don't know say I get too many, I'm a bit at the family. If I don't get too much responsibility, you understand? That means money no way for afford. That's all I then will command it. Even the transportation, all the go for transportation. What you get for do now? Begin to farm a market. Begin to do other small business for, or else the family go suffer. And then even the picking away they get, if possible, not just being street picking them, all can picking and count and cut down on your expenditure. Not create so many in your family. So now so government self look like. So government person be go for look at other source of revenue. Now we talk about the agriculture, and I hope, I pray, a prison of hope. I hope and pray say President Bio go succeed because agriculture is the way to go. But all the stout projects they are so just like what Imran they say, you need revenue, and that's not the big elephant in the room. And when you need revenue, if you're not careful, what you do just look at the action continuously. You understand? And these are the 12 Minister of Finance. Don't go after predictable, easy revenue. Go after other sources of revenue. You get tourism sector, you get the marine sector, you get the agriculture sector, you get the mining sector. For instance, you can even diversify that by adding value addition. You are now, for instance, the fishing sector. Not just go with the fish. Make a little like sardine. You dey add job, you dey create tax. For instance, the iron ore sector. Make sure say you do add value so you go get the finished product. For instance, the mining sector, you get the mining, just go the raw diamond. No, add cutting and polishing. That's what we call value addition economics. These are the way. These are the malaria medicine. When you add them source of revenue there, so then you begin ease. You begin ease the burden on the lifeline product like electricity and fuel.
Edmond, I'm sure the team will bring you back where they can look at diversification of the economy and how for generate revenue.
Yes.
In terms of the thing they will get for do. But for now, I'll go back.
The malaria. So don't go after the symptoms. Go after the malaria direct.
All right. Thank you very much, Edmond Abu from Native Think Tank Consortium. Alfonso, I see you want to respond to somebody. Think the way Edmond mean to say.
No, before that, of course, the people they want to talk to, the voice pop. You know, nobody know the gladi where fuel they go up. Nobody know the gladi where any commodity they go up. It has been established, we don't establish the fact, say, this... We don't establish the facts. We don't establish the facts now, I say.
No, Edmond, I think so for you.
So that adjustment can either be up or down.
No,
it's review, it's adjust. It can be up or down. I'm not saying about this thing. I say adjust, it can go up or down. So I still maintain what I say. Edmond, there are several times the government will reveal the pump price. Don't count down. I get the detail now. I can give you. I can give you.
Of course.
I don't want for you come present yourself to the public and Edmond they talk for it. They will not correct. No, that's what they do. You know, not correct.
For talk.
Allow me, please.
Yes,
good.
Talk now, so put you
now. Nobody know the gladi, especially when they adjust them up. We all agree say this fear na composite demand. But the fact remains, if you look at the plat and look at the local factor, the price will peg at 30, it will actually tell you say still yet government they give subsidy. That public education do they provide. Like what they tell you, Usami is also check circular road. For the past months, now cement they use instead of tar. The road maintenance fund they are them on way for go to the now. You know they go for the past 4 years. Now cement, now they use circular road. You said the same now cement. It's unusual. Now we continue to use cement and then petrol day. Then we reach to a point where we pay teacher and we pay police. So what do they try for talk? Even this now predictable sector, you don't go say the waste for on the predictable sector to the point that 2 months you don't pay police, 2 months you don't pay soldier. So the point that you cannot support the free quality education, you don't support the free health care. Government for focus in improper programs. The concern when people in the resume go take, you understand? And whether they are very genuine. If Batman they ride, not so police they work money for. They go Alex say don't give police 70,000. If they will find a man in picture, let go point to police where give that 70,000 police take action. Right? If they allege. So I say if you ever go point to police because say most of the money where they work, they go to police rather than go to the master. So this national government can investigate. For say no, when this fuel don't go 30,000, the bike they still they complain. So they get another fuel when they buy. So these are things set in support for them to investigate and then they also stop. But for say the one day when they invest in this sector, I mean they're not going to do business for loss. I'm telling you. We they meet with the OMCs them. Now PRA get the plats. Not to the total, they can't tell PRA say today the international price now. So PRA they see them for themselves. And when you import come, right, so you don't get the refined products, you get for paying importation and all the rest of it for that kind of place like salon. And Mongo say they will still among that line, the shipping line, when they saving.
No, they don't pull them.
Now I'm coming.
They don't pull them.
Yes.
I want to let you indicate on that. They don't pull them. So not risk factor again. That risk insurance.
It's not totally.
No, it's total. True. No, ask them no more. Okay.
No, you need to talk and interrupt you.
Yeah, we don't know that risk factor on freight.
No, sir.
On the freight charges.
God. Edmond.
Yes, but I'll correct you on that.
If you not correct me, I know. Not fair way they correct me.
Last year.
No, listen.
Alfonso.
Not tell me at the sector they talk where they can't correct me, Edmond. It's not possible.
Alfonso,
I'm coming. No, that doesn't
wait, I will come back to you because we want to take the Petroleum Regulatory Agency boss. You can't have a conversation like this and know you're here for ma'am. Because like you say, you don't say over and over again, you don't insist that a PRA get the plat. Previously, now being total, they can't tell PRA, say this don't change, now only for adjust, now this the price for B. Now no longer the case because you get a regulatory agency now where they in control or seem like then they in control of what they happen with petroleum products where they come inside the country. So now we take the PRA boss and everything he being for say, why make we get the change? Subsidy removed, pump price go up, and everything here for happen in the future.
Sierra Leone pump price is predetermined, just like most countries in the sub-Saharan Africa. In the first place, there's a misconception that government don't increase fuel price. We job now, we get a pricing formula, we're very transparent. It's based on local and international factors, mainly the platinum, the international reference price, and locally the foreign exchange, the strength of the US dollar against the local currency. So what we would do as a regulator, now for we compute those data, the preceding data, for instance, the last month transaction of all the oil marketing community importers with the computer and determine the pump price. They will announce the pump price. So not to say government they increase pump price. Our job is actually to announce. Some often will advise the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade the way to go. But don't forget, a few weeks ago we'll be there at 25 loans. I will tell you, say most of the times this government they subsidize the pump prices. What can happen normally in most countries, most economies, we normally not say government is subsidized until government attempt for move out of subsidy. I want to say government they move out of subsidy, means the price where the consumer, where government they pay on behalf of consumers, the difference between the market price and the pump price, where government don't use for pay, now the consumer they pay that. For instance, very recently we sell petroleum product at 25 leons at the pump, while the market is said at 29 leons. So there was a margin of 4 leons. That margin then government they pay on behalf of the consumers, on behalf of the citizens of Sierra Leone. But what we don't also realize, just in the very few months between March and June, those margins they tell you so, very sustainably, very consistently, government don't they intervene into the sector for reduce the burden on the consumer. Don't forget, the petroleum product itself, the impact on every life. Whether you're in transportation, you're in media, you're in hospitality, you're in agriculture, it affects your life. So that's a concern for every government. That is why it's a highly regulated sector. So between this recent period, about 6 months alone, March to June or July, government don't put in about $4.7 million all into the oil marketing companies. And in terms of subsidies, it's over $35 million. So since we come to governance, if we want to check that also from 2019, because now actually begin for subsidized 2019 to date as of June, because we never computed July and August figure it. As of June this year, for the last 5 years, is about $90 million US. We're going to subsidize because we have to push all those burdens to the consumer. Some countries they subsidize for 1 or 2 months, 3 months, they move out. But we have done this consistently throughout the 5 years under the presidency of President Julius Maada. Yeah, thanks so much. Let us still, I will conclude on this issue of subsidy because people they still some not able to understand, as I rightly say, if government subsidize on energy, they subsidize on essential goods like a petroleum product, people do not really understand. And as I tell you, we only don't say subsidy not there again where government don't decide for refocus to other aspects within the economy. One, it is to me, I feel say it was going to be very unsustainable. Number one, this country, time reach now, we cannot pay salaries to nurses, we're not going to pay salaries to the police, we're not going to pay salaries to civil servants. I did not government want to do that. The fiscal space will be the bleed up for the last 4 years, but because we get passion, but they put him on face to all activities. So that's sustainable. Then also, you will further say the subsidy itself government, a young good intention was to subsidize for the poor people, but we are subsidizing for the large corporate entities, including the large farms, including the mining companies. Those are the people we are. If you go to the pump now, 90% of the diesel in this country they go to the commercial uplifters. What is going on the pump? As I'm talking to you now, only majority na petrol people by day, about 10 to 15% na diesel. Most of the diesel they go to the mining company, the large the factories along the country. So you can further say that the large corporate, the richer, and the government they subsidize. Meaning, when they subsidize the unintended recipients, the unintended beneficiaries. Also, because we product a bit lower within the region, in the system there was a tendency also for the people that they cry and go now neighboring countries. Then it they deplete with stock reserve in Sierra Leone, and they bring pressure on government. That is true. The third one also it erode the purchasing power because of the frequent replenishment of petroleum product. Then, if we continue for sale they subsidize, and they discourage private sector participation. Because don't forget, the last 6 months, for instance, people you go to the pump, you pay in Leone, then the importers, they accumulate Leones, convert it into dollars, then they bring product from Geneva, from Switzerland, from Northern Eastern Europe, the counter. Then when they come, they land at the terminal, when they tell you, I say, no, don't sell at the market price because we know our hardship. Sell at the starting prices below the market price. That will discourage investors. It will demotivate even local participation in the industry. But if we move out, where the importer is sure say where it come, a guarantee margin, a guarantee distribution cost, it allow local content, it will allow local participation of citizens. That's one of the benefits they will go for achieve. That also, quite apart from the affordability, what is more key for the consumer, that product be available at all times. If we say they continue for 10 and 7 and sell below the market, 10 will reach, nobody will bring product in this country. And we don't get sell, we don't produce fear. So I want to assure you, say, we'll get petroleum product even up to October. Then, in fact, by early this month, we expect diesel for come back, for they can increase with stock. So product at all time, because this is a motivation for any private person. They want to buy and sell, they get a cycle for converting product to cash, they build a product. Now that make we do this. Because for the 4 years, we have been intervening. Then also, if we don't do this, we will also encourage profiteering. If we allow the queue for continue 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, before people begin for buying a car lamp 35 years. Some people begin for buying a local 35, 40 years, etc., etc. Government don't want that. The current president who will get and don't want to get hardship on the people of Sierra Leone. One will not increase fair price. At the same time, we get queue because we get rogue dealers, we get people who have for they're so greedy and mean they have for profiteer. So we want to eliminate that, and also for even for eliminate the queue because the queue all the time of mount across the country and the city. Now a security issue. No one day can today. So have the benefit in this way would the travel move out. And finally, government will also redirect those funds to other key sector of the economy. For instance, the big 5 game changers: Feed Sierra Leone, infrastructure development, youth empowerment, etc., etc. Majority of Sierra Leoneans like youth today. So that means no say the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Youth Affairs they're going to work around something for bring out what you go actually bring direct benefit to the poor people of Sierra Leone. Our compliance responsibility they move out with enforcement. But I'm telling you, where the importers they sell below the market price. That was not an incentive for any trader. They're not demotivated. So now that will lead to they will grab to them say we'll not get fair because they anticipate say prices can move upwards. But as it is now, I'm not sure say anybody will get license under this government under PRA and if they get product, say if you do that, we'll get a report, we will sanction now, we will review in license condition, might suspend the operation, we will cancel in license, we will also penalize them. So we will encourage and say, let them sell to the public. And not only that, therefore give value for money. We're supposed to go by 10 liter, make sure say you get 10 liter, not really below that. If we get that complaint, we will take action. Yeah, in the first place, we price the regime is highly commendable by our international financial partners. We transparent. You go on our website, you find out say every day we update them. In fact, I want to tell you, say, maybe ahead of the industry. Before this time, would they put government under pressure? No. Anything will happen in the next 1 week or 2 weeks, PRA will anticipate them. They will go advise government, will take decision immediately. Now, I mean, most of the things that we see, like some other country, they get fear challenges, fear crises. They take 1 week, 2 weeks, to some months. But we immediately within 48 hours, we're able for settle. Because I've been outside the market, our job is how we go implement them, where it don't affect the citizen. Yes, the price is volatile. This industry is very complex and ambiguous. So what we will do, because we get with the pricing, the plant and office will monitor on daily basis. I never say the price will go down tomorrow or it will go up tomorrow. But the fact remains, the code don't count, we don't really count at this position now, we don't get the full pass through. And they anticipate say they will take some time, not necessarily 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They will take some time before we get some other movement. But in between that, if the price, the combined effect of the plant and the foreign exchange, it can show we say a negative or meaning it go downwards, would they transfer that to the people of Sierra Leone? Because the president will get President Julius Maada, it will always they put him a face in decision making. He will tell me say any gain we would make would have transfer those benefits to the citizen, transfer those benefits to the consumers. So at any point in time, we'll get any gain, we'll give back to the consumers. Don't forget, we have done that over 3 times in this country. Price don't go up, it can't come back, we reduce pump.
That was the PRA boss, Brian Balua Korma. We really talk about what he make. I mean, you know, in CC, they don't increase, you know, pump price. Then just announce, you know, so adjust, and then obviously, but the reality of that, I mean, let's face it. Let's be honest. Now pump price ain't go up. We get views and comments from viewers and listeners across the globe. All right, but we take some of the comments and we go join Salifu with the right on the other end for give you the comments. Salifu, what are the viewers and listeners saying?
All right, thank you so much, John Conte. We get close to 300 messages, but please, we just take messages that we tailored to the program, and also we not take messages where they target people. So please bear with me on that. The first message I will take here now from Joel Momodu Kago. We say it will be good for government subsidies and reduce the burden from suffering citizens rather than withhold that money and share it to themselves for salaries. And Joannis Alex is saying Sierra Leone pump prices is higher than every European country. The question is, what is the basic take home for the average Sierra Leoneans? And Michael Hindove Lagao Marovia is saying, if the pump price of fuel is going up, let the minimum wage for salary go up as well. At least if the minimum wage go up to 1,500 new leones, that's fine. And we have Joel Momodu Kago. He said, we are paying 200 new leones to go to Sanda Magolontor now. And Bailo Barrett Colin is saying, Guinea economy is far more stronger than the economy of Sierra Leone. Guinea has wealth of mineral resources and huge business investment. Guinea is a hub for many West African countries. I think he was responding to the one who said their fuel price is way lower. And Kamara Mohammed Ibrahim is saying the price of fuel in Guinea, okay, another one is 12 francs. 12,000 francs is equivalent to 17,000 leones. And we have Swissman. If government don't find a way to resolve the fuel increment in the country, it will come to a time when the people will protest because of over-increment of basic commodities, and the government have to be careful at this moment because the world is watching at the leadership of the SLPP government. Sulaiman Dauda Berry is saying, the SLPP government needs to subsidize the fuel price due to the respect of the people of Sierra Leone. Because really, the people of Sierra Leone are suffering in terms of transportation costs across the board. And James St. Patrick is saying, President Bill, it's time to say no to the petroleum cartel companies and reduce the suffering of our people. David Sisse, the government needs to adjust subsidies to reduce the prices of basic commodities. And Ibrahim T. Koroma is saying, when fuel prices go up, all other sectors feel the pinch. We are suffering. Trust. We can't hide this from this country. We voted you guys to bring positive change. Please, guys, wake up. And Solomon Bahai is saying, the government needs to bring more players into the petroleum companies. The few do not have genuine love for we, the ordinary citizens. Their aim is to become more richer. And Lance Fofana, fuel in Ghana is 13.35 cedis, Aaron, Sierra Leone. Ronald Bradford Igniters Georgetown is saying, Mr. Presenter, I'm expecting your guests to bring solutions to the fuel price saga, not avoiding the real solutions. May I suggest you have the finance minister in your future programs, maybe this week, because our guests aren't really bringing solutions for the masses. And Solomon Bahai again says, petroleum products are driving force of price increments. Therefore, government needs to pay key attention to it. This period, the price of fuels has gone more than any other time in our history. Alan J. says, anyways, truth be told, our country is a donor-driven country. We cannot just wake up one day and remove 100% subsidies on just one particular commodity, and which is very much essential in the nation building, ranging from transportation to the home services, etc., etc. And the last message I would take for today is coming from Ronald Bradford again. He says, so long as the country doesn't export to bring in revenue in our mining, fishing, timber, or the seaports, which I believe are the only sectors to generate foreign currency, which could be used to cushion the economy, but can't, and our country only option will be to tax businesses and the poor, which cannot continue because it is a recipe for civil unrest. So those were the messages, and back to you, John Conte.
Thank you very much for all the comments. B.S. Ford, very, very tough comments there from B.S. Ford. One of them mentioned bringing solutions to the crisis. He also mentioned that, if you never forget exportation done or export done on you produce from your country for cushion costs and continue for increased fuel, it might lead to unrest. Because when things are hard, when the pocket then begin for suffer and people are unable to send them picking and go school, they might take to advocacy, whether on social media, whether on radio, whether on the streets. It would potentially happen, Edmond.
You see, waiting native consumption, like I say, we need a debate that for give prescription continuously. Somebody talk about bringing in new players, which I welcome. You understand? We need to bring more, and you only bring new players where you able to get more storage facility. With current storage facility, total is about 400,000 metric tons. So government can go for vendor financing, it can go for BOOT model, it can go whatever model. You understand? You bring, for instance, 500,000 metric tons, and then you encourage new players, because these current players, they are something else. They're not an own rocket. You understand? So these are some of the things there. Then you see, Balwa, I just respond to what the regulator they say. Not today some of you add voice to this thing. I don't begin fair to this thing from the days of John Benjamin, Ponda Pakaba, from the time of create this pricing formula, where he puts petrol, diesel, and kerosene as one price. Who said no? Malanko, permanent, and they're not to the same price. They forget price differential. They say, oh, now because of the mix, I said, no, we don't fit on down from then till now. Now, if you say you need a subsidize for the unintended, then do the double pricing system. You understand? You get a separate price for industries. As recommended this under the APC government, they implement them. It went well. You go and ask this man, I don't know what's that, this man, this former trade minister. You understand? So you can, if you know if you're pushing the burden, make sure say you, and I make now, I say, hey, you need, when did they come talk about protest now? Because now, if any protest happen, it leads to the loss of life. They will say, Edmond. Now make some of we don't take the issue, say no. Because President, you get for be careful. The trend that they happen now in Africa, you get for be careful. You can't keep adding more economic burden on the people. So now make we continuously they give and the solution, see, double tier system, double pricing system, bring more. Look at the airport, which is good. I like there are certain things, I mean, good reforms than they are. But let me, for instance, go with the Ministry of Finance, because this whole thing is way above PRA now. This whole thing is about revenue generation. For me, let understand this issue of subsidy, not just tax. For instance, you get certain component apart from that, you get excise duty. IMF they tell we say, oh, the excise duty, the landing cost, the this, then the road maintenance fund. But if you pull that road maintenance fund, you increase the excise, the same tax. You understand? So, and the other which when they play by this thing, where PRA not for catch now, now the freights. You know now we get in petrol, we get to call freights. We get freight plat. Even the plat we are supposed to talk about. So the plat, PRA will not be ever get plat, and I commend PRA. Now we push from the research we do along with IMFC. We not forget plat because total nobody can still be waiting at the price. They can just put price, wake up one money. So we tell go thank you, they don't get plat. They can get freight plat also. So now the other thing, they get when did the cost fail? They go to call CIF, cost insurance and freight. Now they which day? And yonder, I think say Pierre and Emeka don't talk. Say let we deconstruct this. Let we this formula.
If nobody able to see through it, you don't make recommendations to the current.
Because solutions. Then now we talk about yes.
Well, that's what I'm asking. You don't make recommendations. Say that. I mean, look at how this CIF to be calculated because you're able to see say either
but they inflate them.
This is where the J factor they be added to the numbers that increase or it will be inflated.
Yes.
You don't make recommendations.
Yeah, of course. And because now waiting the government with it because now the government they battle in between availability and price increment. I can understand. All governments from the days of Pakapa they want to say, okay, because your Kadamani will tell you, say, well, Edmond, this thing, if let it fear, they don't drag. Let it day. So for the common man, they prefer let it day than we begin queue, begin struggle, they begin sell jabu. So that now another factor also we're going to forget honest, and I think say these are other driven factors. So let it day, availability versus price. So if you want for let that happen, make sure say you create the enablement, get new players there. So if Edmond will for out fear, we'll get more storage.
Alfonso, availability versus price, but somebody else say if you increase, government need to look at increasing the minimum wage of the ordinary man. Because just yesterday, I mean, I did commensurate. Just yesterday, I did a post. I did look for get fuel. I posted that like play 50 liter is now more than the basic minimum wage of hundreds of thousands of Sierra Leoneans. It's exactly. It's 1,500 liters.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, 50 liters of American, obviously. I mean, I mentioned it was 50 liters of American. Yeah. That's 1,500,000.
So let me just come. No. Now, the two-tier system where Edmond talk, it was introduced in 2012. And this very two-tier system will liberalize the market in 2018. I will tell you why. The disadvantage. You not talk about that and you know that. If they see the construction come, the mining come, then they left. Then they come at the fuel station, come by drum now next, they connive with the OMCs them.
So police them?
And no, they can't when they talk, first they talk. Let me say educate the masses. Because you just talk like for someone and just pull them carelessly. And that was not the case. Now when evidence they begin to come, the OMC they open a net 2 o'clock morning, 3 o'clock morning, they see, when they sleep, they full up drum, they sell it. So
the OMC they were interested in the fast.
So this was the reason when they liberalize and the dealers and so the dealers and this are the reason when they liberalize them. Say 8,000. But again, what they try for talk, as yes, also go monitor. Like for instance, when the Minister of Finance, you say for bringing, and I already don't set the pay, say they remove subsidy. Now waiting our government policy, we go say, as civil society, this money, of course, let we ensure so we see about proper programs. And now they go be bites for challenge governments. Say the water situation not for remain the same, the health situation not for remain the same. Let we they pay fee subsidy on time. Let we ensure say there's social service sector them. We will actually see the benefits where they go there.
Interestingly, gentlemen, we if I tell us we don't spend almost close to 2 hours on no belief. It's been quite interesting. But Imran, I know see you have to respond to plenty comments them. Alfonso say as CSO then go advocate that when these subsidies they be removed, what do we talk about the livelihood of people that then be put into programs so that it will inflect on the masses and the social programs the governments get. Because at the end of the day, able for target the one way, according to Balua, we say no to the unintended target there. We will be intended target for government.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I already talked about. And are they in agreement with what Alfonso say in terms of who side the money for go ultimately? And hence, now the reason that they will make government decide, well, you know, it's in. Let continue for the pull these subsidies, right, and this fuel, because we not say again your replaying effect. But ultimately, you want for people to do the things the way you need for do for the greater majority in this country, you know, so and invest in social services, infrastructure, healthcare, education, public exams, MPSC, Beke, and Waske, you know, so that we're picking and get access to education, and fundamentally, we will see a lot of other good things that will go happen. Well, I just say on the issue of this minimum wage. I remember Fanta Madi been there on, I think it was on Morning Coffee, SLBC. And this specific question came up about minimum wage, why not go raise minimum wage up and all of that. And he said, okay, it was not Fanta Madi, the minister, it was Matthew Dingy. He said, but yeah, he been referred to something where the minister talked. So he said on minimum wage, and that's a point I don't always maintain, for the longest time. Government king, Minister of Finance, not then go advise His Excellency the President. But they have to be sure as to who side they sit down for go make that advice there. Who side the money they come on? Where's the physical space? Which revenue projection will look like? Because for grab and talk about minimum wage, where you don't know side the money they come on. Maybe one of the things that I tell you now, say budget na projection. Every year them grab say they go with budget na parliament. They don't use budget na this na projection.
Of course, na projection.
It is based on which they anticipated and they raise next year, 2024. Now based on how they make projections, okay, one spend 2 trillion. It's just man, you self na the same thing. You dey anticipate so much don't join content and they pay you. No so? You got picking me to ask you say you want bicycle. Now you wait, you don't do that calculation there based on your salary. The feeding you only in day one signer, not so. That money you give that woman the house for cook for the month in day one signer. So these are all additional. So all of them things that you calculate now that's which you plan for spend at the end of the month. Now based on your projection, that there was something that happen. That salary no car. But that you pick up and tell you say you want to bicycle, you know you get that from home. It's the same way government operates. So on the issue of minimum wage, government want to be properly seated and situated correctly for people to get conversations around minimum wage. With salary, whether private sector or public sector, is being affected by several factors now. No, so we're not going to exist at the time where they said that salary there for we, but we're living with it. Everybody, public sector, private sector, we're living with it.
So let the citizenry live with the increase.
No, that is not my point. My point is this.
Yeah, I know it's not your point, but I'm asking you that let the citizen live with the increase. Then they adjust their lifestyle. It might be difficult, but let them adjust their lifestyle. That is increased to 30 and might potentially go up to 35.
So again on the issue of which you refer to as potential increase, I want to say categorically, and this could be my final word. Conversations could be difficult, but they are necessary. You may not like what you hear from Imran Silla phone on behalf of government, but to the 7 million people in this country and to His Excellency the President will give me work for do for getting conversations today. And those conversations will continue to have. Reviews don't they happen since time immemorial. The one those have a book, let's say, since the Pope was an altar boy. And reviews will continue to happen. This review we will get for happen, subsequent reviews, therefore be determined by two factors: subsidies and international factors. We will come back when that conversation will happen.
Until the subsidy,
we will come back
until the subsidy
and get conversations and
international
the
factors, subsidy and international factors favor we. Projections are clear. We have to be as realistic and as truthful as you've been saying just now. That until subsidy and projections from international factors they favor we, things would not continue to be reviewed downwards. And go be reviewed either outside and day or then be reviewed upwards. Well, I've been for give you more time for make comments, and every one of you for make comments, gentlemen. But unfortunately, that's how we will bring AYV on Sunday. To cut things down on this Sunday. Now, we've established clearly, that no matter what happens, pump price, it don't go up. We've established clearly that it gets multiplier effect on several other products, several other commodities, transportation, every other thing we get for happening. It will affect the pocket, for sure. It will affect your ability for spend on things where you've been used for spend before, absolutely. It will affect your transportation cost, most definitely. At this point, school reopens tomorrow, public school and they open tomorrow. It will therefore affect transportation for parents. Yes, Iman mentioned that there are school buses, but that will these buses then go able to serve obviously, possible for letting serve all the school picking out of the country. Some will get, some not will get. Then parents then go still get for provide for them public transport for able for take for going to school. The reality of that, from Imran, he mentioned that it will be reviewed. The questions were asked upwards or downwards. Conversations will be held. The Minister of Finance being said gradually the subsidy will be removed. And gradually it will be reviewed. Upwards, downwards, we're not sure. We're leaving you with that question, leaving you with that thought on AYV on Sunday today. Many thanks to everyone on the production team. At 9 p.m. will be AYV Prime Time News. Me now, John Conte, bringing AYV on Sunday to you today. Many thanks to the panelists, Edmond Abu from Native Think Tank, Alfonso Manley from the Consortium on Petroleum, and also Imran Sila from the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. Many thanks to everyone of who watch and send in comments. Till I see you again next Sunday. It's been AYV on Sunday with me, John Conte. Good night.